Here we're going to deal with the homework from section C of Ross chapter 37, section 37.7, section C. This is the reading from Deuteronomy 8, verses 1 through 3. Deuteronomy 8, 1 through 3. And as with the other homework exercises where we do these readings, I'm going to read the text in little chunks so that you can recite and practice your reading. So let's look at number 1. Kol ha-mitzvah asher anohi mitzavcha hayom tishmerun la'asot lema'an tichyun urevithem Vathem virishtem et haaretz asher nishba Adonai la'avotechem. All right, let's walk through how to analyze and think about and translate this section. Now, so here Moses is at the plains of Moab. He's instructing the Israelites right before he passes from the scene and they go into the land of Canaan. And we have, first of all, kol ha-mitzvah. Kol is all, each, or every. And so this is the whole commandment, all of the commandment. And then I have asher. Asher is a relative word. It introduces a relative clause. And so we want to bracket the relative clause for a moment and find out how far does this relative clause go. The whole commandment, asher, which, anohi mitzavacha hayom, this is where it ends. Asher introduces the relative clause. Remember, relative clauses are modifying clauses and they will have a head. What is the head of the relative clause? It's the word ha-mitzvah. It's going to tell you something about the mitzvah, the commandment. What about the commandment? Well, it's the commandment which, anohi mitzavacha hayom, the commandment which I, personal pronoun, first common singular, null copula, okay, it's unstated, I am mitzavacha. This is one of your new verbs. This is from tzava. It's a 3-hay verb. I've got a mem prefix, which tells you that this is a participle. And then after my form, I've got roots 1 and 2, no ending. In fact, if this is a 3-hay verb, I should have had something like a sere, hey, or if it were feminine singular, comet hey, or I'm sorry, a segel hey, or a sere, comet hey, or im or ot, right, for participles. But there's no ending. It's been chopped off, and I've added this pronominal suffix right here. That's a 2ms pronoun. So what I have is a participle masculine singular gender and number plus a 2ms suffix. Okay? What stem is this? Well, the mem prefix goes with all the participles at all the stems except the kal and the nifal. Where do I get doubling in root 2? That would be pl or pual. Which one has a pathak, an A-class vowel under root 1? The PL does, okay? So the PL of tzava means to command. So all the commandment which I am commanding you today, what about that commandment? Well, here's where the main clause continues. All the commandment you shall keep. Now, I have shamar, that's an identifiable verb root, prefix tav, shurik on the backside, and this nun is what's called a paragogic nun. It is sometimes visible on these vocalic endings with the prefix conjugation like this, but it does not change the meaning. So sometimes you just have the prefix tav and the shurik, sometimes you have the prefix tav, shurik, and the paragogic nun. What is this? Well, the imperfect with the tav and the shurik is to MP. You will or shall do something. What will you do? You will shamar, keep. With the I-class vowel and the silent shava here, that is a cal vowel pattern. So, shamar, cal imperfect to MP. All the commandment you shall keep. Relative clause modifies that commandment. All the commandment which I'm commanding you today, you shall keep. La asot. What do we have here? This is the verb asa, one of your verbs that you've learned. Among your doubly weak verbs, it's doubly weak in that it's a one guttural and a three-hay verb. Three-hay verbs you learned for the infinitive construct get this oath ending. So that is looking like an infinitive construct. This is a lamed preposition. But what stem is this infinitive construct from asa? Well, notice I have a vocal shava. It's a compound shava, but it would have been just a simple vocal shava had it not been for the guttural in root 1 position. So this is a cal infinitive construct. Cal infinitive constructs usually have a vocal shava under root 1. Okay? So what is the semantic classification of this lamed preposition plus infinitive following the main verb? This is what Ross has called an ep-exegetical infinitive. That is to say, it explains how the main verb is carried out. You shall keep all of the commandment, the whole commandment, by doing, by performing it. Why? Lama'an. This is a word that indicates the reason for something. In order that, tichyun. Tichyun. What do we see here? This looks like what we see here over in Tishmarun, a prefix tav and a shurik on the backside and the paragogic nun. So what's left in the middle? That looks like an imperfect to MP again. The root letters are chet and yod. And so what I probably have is another doubly weak verb. This is like haya, to be, but it's got a chet in root 1 position. This is to live. Okay? That Keurig and silent shava under root 1, that is characteristic, again, of the cal imperfect, just as we had over here. But because it's 3-hay, I don't see the mater hay. It gets cut off and the vocalic ending is added after root 2. So this is in order that you live. In English, we want to add a word like may or might. In order that you may live. That's why you should keep the commandment by doing it. In order that you may live, u revithem, and revithem. And so here's that ending, tem. Remember, tem and ten are heavy consonantal endings for what looks like a perfect to MP. And I have a vav, though, on the front. And this is in sequence with two imperfect forms, tishmarun, tichyun, and then a vav with what looks like a perfect. Chances are that what I'm looking at here is what we've been calling a WCP, a vav consecutive perfect. And those are used in typically non-past times in sequence with imperfect preceding. And I'm going to want to give it the same sort of nuance as what I had before. In order that you may live and you may rava. Now here I see resh and bet for my root letters, and then the Keurig yod of the 3-hay pattern when I add consonantal endings for the suffix conjugation. So this is looking like ra, va. And the cal, what does it mean? It means to be much, to be many, to increase. Look at the vocal shava under root 1 with that heavy ending. That's what we see with the cal. The nifal perfect would have a nifal noon before root 1. The hifal and hofal would have a hay before root 1. The pl and pual, those don't get any prefixing in their perfix, but they would have doubling in root 2. And we don't have any of that stuff. So this is just a simple old cal, WCP 2MP. So in order that you may live, and in order that you may increase. And here I have bat them. There's that tem ending that we just saw with the vav in front. So looking like another Cal WCP 2MP from one of our hollow verbs, bow, and in order that you may enter. Now, or go in. You haven't actually met this verb, I don't think. That's probably coming in chapter 38. But this does mean to come in, or to go in, or to enter. All right, so that you may increase and that you may go in. Next verb, virishtem. So here is another vav. It should have been virishtem. Notice though that I've got two vocal shavas. It's not allowable. What are we going to do? Going to shoot out an I. This shava over here then becomes silent. And then when I have that happening, the yod then this is pronounced V. The kirik and the yod reunite as long lost lovers. Remember our Hebrew love story there. And this becomes a quiescent yod, and it becomes a kirik yod now. So this was a yod with a vocal shava. Why do I have it? Because this was roots 1, 2, and 3, the verb yarash. And in the Cal WCP with the heavy ending tem, I usually get a vocal shava under that yirishtem. So 2MP. And so this is from yarash, which means to possess. So in order that you may possess, in keeping with the sequence of other WCP forms that we had, that you may live, and that you may multiply or increase, that you may go in, and that you may possess. Et haaretz, direct object, possess the land. Asher, here's my relative clause, which nishba Adonai la'avotechem. Relative clause ends over here. What is it modifying? The relative clause has as its head the land. Okay, that's what's being modified by it. Now, nishba, what is that? There's my noon prefix before shava. 3 root letters. If I see a noon prefix, it could be a nifal noon. It could be a first common plural noon. Since I have my 3 root letters, it can't be a root 1 noon. So I can eliminate that possibility. What might it be here? It is possible that this could be a first common plural prefix noon. But again, you and I are not in this passage. There are no we's here. This is Moses instructing the people of Israel. So chances are this is rather a nifal noon. And if it's a nifal noon, then I need to look for the places in my principal parts where the nifal has the noon visible. And the nifal perfect is a grand place to consider. This is a nifal perfect, and with no ending, it's 3ms. Now, what does shava mean in the nifal? It means to swear. It does not have a passive sense in the nifal. This is one of those verbs which in the nifal you just need to remember its meaning is to swear. Okay? So, which Yahweh as the subject, nishbad, which Yahweh swore. And now, here's who he swore it to. La avotechem. Here is the word av. I've got a lamed preposition. It would have been a vocal shava, le avotechem. 2 vocal shavas are not allowable. Hebrew will take the Red Ryder BB gun, shoot out both eyes, and replace it with the corresponding short vowel of the compound shava. Okay? So that should have been a simple vocal shava. 2, av, father, ot. This is a defectively spelled holam vav here. It should have been ot, like that. Remember, av's plural is avot. So that's a defectively spelled holam vav. That's a plural ending. Normally, ot is feminine plural, but av is father, so this is a masculine plural form. So it's masculine plural. It is in the construct because I'm adding the pronominal suffix chem, which is second masculine plural. It's literally to the fathers of Shechem, you. So to your fathers. Now, just to go back and think about relative clauses, I told you that whenever you have a relative clause, you have a head, and here it's haaretz. You have a relative word, which is asher. It introduces the relative clause, but then the head should have some resumptive function inside the relative clause. What is the land doing inside the relative clause? The land is the null direct object. The land which Yahweh swore it, unstated, but implied. That's what he swore. And then to whom he swore it, to your fathers. Okay? So in relative clauses, the head that is outside the relative clause will always have some role inside the relative clause, whether it's explicitly there or whether it is implied. Here it's just implied.